Welcome back to the Derek Smith Spiel, and today my guest is Ag and Tech teacher, Mr. Hess. Now, normally I'd start off this interview with an introduction like that, and I'd ask if I missed anything, but I'm going to change it up a little bit and take your time to answer this question. If you had one word to describe yourself, how would you do so?
I think if I had one word to describe myself would be tenacious. I just
Tenacious?
fail to give up. Giving up is not an option.
I think that's a really good one. Mine would have been positive, because whenever I'm in your class or anywhere at your house, I've never seen you. You just always carry yourself in a positive way with positive energy, and you reinforce everyone positively too, which is a big part of your teaching style, I think. Like, you try and make your room, and the first day I had one of your classes, high school classes that is, you said you want your room to be like an escape place for kids where they don't really have to worry about the next essay or homework. I guess, how'd you get that positive mindset?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with growing up. I have cystic fibrosis, and I have never been one to waste time or give up. And I think that every moment should be taken for what it is and given your best. And I think giving your best means having the best outlook and trying the hardest you can try. And I think that alone is the definition of positivity. You just don't ever want to give up, and you always keep pushing forward, no matter how insurmountable the odds seem to be. You just keep moving.
Is there anyone who helps you think that way? Like, are your parents pretty positive people, you'd say, too?
I think it's a culmination of a lot of people. I don't necessarily know if it's attributed to one person. I think that my parents definitely had a great deal to do with it. I think that they are the people that made it so that I knew that I was just another person, and I was never to give up and just keep going. And I think my wife is of that mindset too. You just don't give up, keep going. It's going to be okay. We'll figure it out. It doesn't matter what the odds are. We'll figure a way through it. And I think being around that my whole life has been something to help, because I think that if I didn't have that, the tendency to become negative could be there. And I think that's for everybody. And I think that as long as you're surrounding yourself with people that help you have that mindset, I think that you can't go the wrong way.
Yeah. Is that one of the biggest things you want to instill, like, in your daughter?
Yeah, I want her to be able to know that, no matter what it is, you just keep going. And whether that means keeping going is asking for help, or keeping going is just pushing through on your own, or keeping going is stopping what you're doing and trying something different. I think keeping going doesn't only mean just put your head down and suffer through it. It means make it work however it needs to be made work. Whether that is make a change, seek help, however it needs to be. You need to make it through life, but however you get there is, up to you.
Maple season is coming up soon. Is that your favorite time of the year, maple season?
Maple season is my favorite time of year. I love maple season because a lot of people get really down in the end of winter, early spring. It's just kind of gray and muddy and wet and cold.
Not much sun.
No, but maple is a great way to get outside and get excited about something and have a reason to be there. And especially if snowmobile season was poor, everybody's like going into it being like, But you get into maple season and you have a reason to be there, and you find something you love and really, really work at it.
And I guess my next question is, how stressful, or maybe how difficult is it on a scale of 1 to 10 to get like maybe a class of 20 kids in the woods with chainsaws and have them all helping with maple syrup?
I think that my first few years, it was an uphill struggle. And I think that it was a daunting task. And I think that I attribute a lot of my success to figuring out how to do that to your dad, who wouldn't let me have a bad day. I'd come in and be like, what the heck just happened? And he'd say, well, whatever it is, go home and write it down and figure it out. And I did. And I've always said to him that he's always been the friend that I needed to have. Maybe not the one I wanted to have at the time. He said what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear. And I think there's a lot to be said for that in a positive way. But now it's not as stressful anymore. It still has its stressors, right. But I think overall it's sort of just the way of life, and it is what it is. And that's kind of my place. I think when I'm happy when I've got 1,000 things going on and a lot of irons in the fire, and that definitely satisfies that requirement.
Yeah, you've always got a project with something.
Yeah.
Would you say you're a bargain shopper, or how would you describe your, would it be a junkyard shopper, scrapper?
Buy-sell trade.
Buy-sell trade.
I call the buy-sell trade method. I love used junk, find, fix, sell, barter. I don't know. I was thinking this morning, somebody was saying that they had to find something that was really expensive, and they really struggled to find it. And I'm thinking, oh, I had to get one of those too, but I found a used one that was broken and fixed it, and I think I'm into it like $50, whereas somebody else might be into it $500.
Yeah.
I think that's my thing. It's just I love taking something that doesn't work and turning it into something that does.
Back to the classroom. This is just like a thought I had. It's very like being an ag teacher is a very different structure than your average classroom, and you're really in an environment where kids can be creative and expressive, and they don't always have a teacher over their shoulder, which can either lead to great things or bad things. Like, it's quite the balance. But what would you say the biggest difference between being like an ag teacher and then maybe teaching a DDP class where it's a little more structured?
I think they all have their challenges and their ups and downs, and I don't sit still well, and I have a really hard time sitting down and following a curriculum that somebody else created.
Yeah.
And which there's nothing wrong with that, but I am not wired that way. I like an independent things on my own. I have independent thoughts just like my students, and I sometimes go into a lesson of having a whole plan laid out, and 20 minutes in, we don't even do any of that because I find something else that I would rather chase, and the kids seem interested in, and we go down that road. And I make it through the end of 80 minutes and realize I didn't do anything that I had planned to do, but we did something productive for 80 minutes, and everybody enjoyed it, and we all learned something as a result. And I learned, when I was in grad school, I had a professor that said, if you don't have something for the kids to do, they're going to do something to you. And boy, is that true.
Yeah.
And, the first couple of years teaching, I saw it written all over the walls, literally and figuratively. And, I think that having something quality to do, or even if that quality thing develops while you're going, is what develops the culture and the intensity that exists in a class. And I think that being genuine helps with that, saying, I don't know. And I say it all the time, I don't know. Let me look that up. I messed up. I didn't do that right. I'm sorry. I didn't get that the way I wanted to get it. And I think that the kids understand that we're all sort of growing and learning, and it's a moving target. And if we're all working towards the same goal, I think we all get there better than it is like an us versus them type of thing. I don't care for that mentality. And I don't really think anybody here at Letchworth has that mentality. I know I had some teachers when I was in school that did, and I don't, I don't care how you do, I'll still get my paycheck. I don't think I've ever met anybody at Letchworth that would have ever said that. And I had teachers that did, and I don't ever want that.
Yeah, it sounds kind of backwards, but you can almost like gain respect or whatever you want to call it by admitting, like, I don't know.
Absolutely.
And to let everyone know that you're
available just like anybody else.
Yeah.
Human.
Or even Like, are you 35?
34.
34. Oh, that was a close guess. But to admit, like, you're still learning at
Yeah.
34, that's...
Yeah. Something I say to kids all the time is, were you born knowing how to walk? No. Were you born knowing how to read? No. You learned it. Anybody can learn anything. You just have to have the right person to show you and the right mindset to get there. And I thoroughly believe that. I have kids come in, I don't know how to work on cars. Okay, were you born knowing how to walk? No. Okay, then how'd you learn how to walk? Well, my mom and dad taught me. Okay, well, I'll teach you this. So that's sort of my theory.
Yeah, you also, in your classes, you have a wide range, like people who have spent their life working on cars and people who are taking the class to learn how to work on cars. There haven't been... You do a great job of keeping it so that the people who know car lingo like it's their first language, they aren't like, come on, are you, like, you don't know this? Like, you keep it a very open and friendly environment.
Well, I appreciate that. I try. We all are coming at it from a different angle. I mean, one student might know everything about cars, and the other student might know everything about sea creatures. Everybody has their thing.
Your ag department, you're really, like, forced isn't the right word because you do a great job of it, but you're forced to work together. What does that mean to you, and how do you deal with that?
I work with the best people you could ever imagine. We all are on the same page, and I don't even want to say we have differences because we work them through so seamlessly that they don't even seem like differences. They just are. They are what they are, and we all bring something different to the table, but we get along well, and I don't think I could do it without the people that I work with. It just wouldn't be. Not only that, but you put me in a barn full of animals and I'll probably get trampled.
Yeah.
So I can do the basics, but I need Mrs. Wilcox to come and save me and show me, how to survive the animals. But we all have our strengths, and I think we work to play off of them.
Do you think there's any ag department nearby that's like Letchworth? Because it's really a unique setup. Do you really think anything is close to it around here?
I think we have a diversity in what we offer and in the specialties that the teachers have that is unrivaled. I think that it would be hard to recreate what we have, not only facility-wise, but personality-wise. I mean, other schools do certain things better and certain things different, but I think for the people that we work with and the groupings that we have, I think we have the ultimate setup and the ultimate team of people.
How do you go about making adjustments each year? Because, like, a big thing with woodworking, for example, is there's probably something you can always do to make a project go more smoothly or come out better. So how do you go about making adjustments, or even on the fly?
I think I just try to make it so that everybody gets a result that's positive.
Yeah.
I think I want every engine to run. I want every brake job to be finished with cars that stop. I want every woodworking project for a kid to be proud to take home, and that is a variation on skill level and how we make it work for each student. I think a lot of what I do is affected by the fact that I've had some of these students since they were in 6th grade, you included, and when I've had someone since 6th grade, I know the person, and by the time they're in 12th grade, we've met. And I know their ups and downs and what they need in order to succeed, and they know me and they know my personality and my possible shortcomings. And I think that with that we can kind of dynamically move to create the situation that works for every kid.
So final question here, class is about to start. What's your favorite either subject or project that you've done? It can go back to your high school or college days or anything you've taught.
I think Maple takes it for me.
Maple?
I think when I started here in 2012, I didn't know the first thing about maple. I knew almost nothing. I knew that you drilled holes in trees and liquid came out and you boiled it. Other than that, I didn't know anything. And I had the desire to learn it, and I had a a bunch of students my first year back in 2012 and 13 that really lived it at home and said, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to learn how to do it. And I partnered up with a lot of local people that do it as careers and are experts at it, and learned as much as humanly possible. And we went from just an open woods to a woods with a full maple system and all the evaporators and tanks and pumps and the whole full-scale real setup. And I think that, the biggest takeaway from that is always learn as much as you possibly can. If somebody is willing to teach it to you, learn it. It doesn't matter who they are, what they have. I think you can learn something from every person you meet. And if you're doing that, I think you're approaching life in the right way.
Yeah, and you never know when you're going to use stuff. Like, I know going through chemistry, you're probably like, when am I going to use this? But I'm like, my grandpa, he does titrations for like testing well water.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for coming on. That was
you're welcome.
You gave me everything I could have hoped for. That was
I
awesome.
appreciate you asking, and thanks for working it into our crazy schedule here.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you.
Mr. Hess, ladies and gentlemen. This episode was brought to you by yours truly, Derek Smith, with help from the voice memos and Spotify Podcasters app. For more content like this, you can continue listening to the Derek Smith Spiel on Spotify, or you can listen on my YouTube channel at Derek Smith Stock 13. There you'll find my podcast and sports betting videos on top of that. If you're a fan of my sports betting videos, you can also see highlights of those on my TikTok account. You can find that by searching at SmithStock5 again on TikTok. Enjoy collecting cards? If so, check out my Collects account at Derek Smith Stock to get deals on quality cards. For updates on everything I mentioned, follow my Instagram account. You can find that by searching Derek Smith Stock 13 on Instagram. Not interested in sports? Then go to YouTube and watch Dylan Smith Outdoors YouTube channel. Search Dylan Smith Outdoors, where there are plenty of outdoor content videos, including hunting, catching, trail cam and tree stand setup, cooking, and plenty of laughs in between. Need your lawn sprayed? Whether it's weeds or insects, Greenwood Ecologics has you covered. If you need help making your lawn greener than your neighbors, call Greenwood Ecologics at 585-739-1610. I repeat, 585-739-1610. Finally, thank you for listening to this production of the Derek Smith Spiel. Every view or listener is appreciated. I'll catch you later.